For centuries, there has existed an ancestral practice, a technique so powerful, so transformative, that it was deliberately hidden. Not because it didn't work, but because it worked too well. Imagine an ancient key capable of opening the most sacred portal of all, the memory of your soul. A technique that does not teach anything new, but strips away the veils of what was imposed. The greatest deception was not making us ignorant, but convincing us we were something we are not. What if today you remembered your true purpose? What if instead of seeking outside, you found inside a voice that never abandoned you? What if that voice could be activated with a technique guarded from those who would make it an instrument of control? This is an invocation, a guide toward a forbidden practice, not because it is dark, but because it is too luminous. Those who dominate this world fear an awakened soul far more than a sleeping army. Hidden knowledge threads through almost all ancestral cultures, a persistent whisper crossing continents and millennia. The human being has forgotten who they truly are. Life, as we live it, is a kind of sleep, a veil separating us from our true identity. In Egyptian tradition, priests of the Per Ankh practiced secret initiations where the neophyte experienced symbolic death. The body rested while consciousness was guided through subtle planes. Upon returning, they had crossed the veil. They had remembered. In ancient Greece, the Orphics taught songs, breathing, and trance states where the soul could momentarily free itself from earthly identity and contemplate its divine origin. This experience was irreversible. In ancient India, the rishis transmitted smarana, the act of remembering what the soul already knows. Spiritual ignorance was not lack of information, but disconnection. The path back was unlearning, an internal technique of detachment and silence that allowed consciousness to return to its original state. In all these examples, the technique was essentially the same, not about learning something external, but aligning with the spiritual memory living in the depths of being. But then came darkness, religious wars, institutionalization of spirituality, domination of the external over the internal. What was once a path toward remembrance became empty ritual, dogma, or heresy. The techniques fragmented, symbols hid in myths, and what was essential was sealed with the name dangerous. Dangerous for whom? For the systems that do not want you to remember. Because once a soul remembers who it is, it can no longer be dominated. To understand this forbidden technique, we must grasp a premise that challenges ordinary thinking. The soul does not need to learn who it is. It only needs to remember, and that remembrance does not come from thought, but from vibration. A specific frequency that, when activated within you, makes everything false crumble, and what is true emerges. But how does one access that frequency? The forbidden technique is not a formula of words, nor an external ritual. It is an internal activation, a set of steps that align body, mind, energy, and consciousness until, by resonance, the soul's memory becomes present, not as a concept, but as lived experience. Imagine your soul as a perfect melody covered by layers of noise, interference, foreign beliefs, traumas, conditioning. The technique acts as a tuner. It does not add anything. It only removes. It only polishes. And as it does, that melody begins to be heard again. This technique structures itself in 3 phases. First is the deprogramming of the false self. It consists of identifying internal voices that are not yours, ideas adopted without questioning, masks worn unknowingly. The technique teaches how to empty yourself, to dismantle obsolete mental structures not through struggle, but through lucidity. Second is the activation of the inner sense. Once noise diminishes, something appears that was always there but rarely heard. The inner sense. It is a form of perception that is not logical, not emotional, but direct. This sense awakens through attunement. The technique activates it, using conscious breathing, ritual silence, and symbolic visualization. One of its pillars is this principle. What you imagine with devotion, your soul recognizes as real. Archetypal images, the internal fire, the lotus of the heart, the mirror of the soul, are not invented. They are universal symbols that activate ancient memories. When worked with correctly, they provoke internal visions, experiences, reconnections. Third is resonance with your true name. In the deepest traditions, there is talk of the soul's hidden name. Not a sound, but a unique vibration. The technique teaches that each being has a sacred frequency that, when invoked correctly, produces an effect of immediate recognition. It is as if a sealed door suddenly opens. The person does not remember with the mind. They remember with vibration. A certainty floods in. This is who I am. The technique itself begins in stillness. Not the stillness of sleep, but of presence. You sit in a place where the world's noise cannot reach you. The body relaxes, the breath becomes conscious, not forced, but observed. With each exhale, you release what does not belong to you. With each inhale, you invite what is eternally yours. Then comes the first invocation. You speak silently, from the heart, not from the mind. I remember who I am before the world told me who to be. These words are not affirmation. They are an internal command, a permission you give yourself to cross the threshold. Next, visualization begins. You imagine a light within your chest, not imagined with effort, but perceived as if it were already there, simply waiting to be noticed. This light grows with each breath. It is not your imagination creating it. It is your consciousness recognizing it. The light expands until it fills your entire body, then radiates outward, surrounding you. In this state, images may come. Do not chase them. Do not judge them. They are memories of the soul speaking in the language it knows. A symbol, a color, a sensation, a voice without sound. These are not hallucinations. They are recognitions. The soul speaks in a language older than words, and in this practice, you become fluent in that language once more. The practice then deepens into what ancient traditions called the mirror. You ask internally, who am I when no one is watching? Who am I when all masks are removed? The answer does not come as words. It comes as knowing, a direct perception of your essence, untouched by time, unharmed by the world, eternal. As this perception solidifies, another layer emerges. You begin to sense not only who you are, but where you come from. A lineage of consciousness stretching backward through infinite time. Your ancestors knew this truth. Your soul remembers this lineage. It is not a memory of events, but of essence. A recognition that you are not isolated in time, but connected to an unbroken chain of awakened beings who came before and will come after. Finally, there is the sealing. You bring awareness back to your body. You thank what revealed itself. You promise to listen, and you return to the world, but changed. Not because you learned something new, but because you remembered something true. The practice does not end when you open your eyes. It continues as a subtle presence, a whisper in your consciousness, a knowing that accompanies every decision and every moment. But understand this: the world does not want you to remember. Institutions, systems, power structures, they are built on your forgetting, on your belief that you are small, powerless, dependent. The moment a soul remembers itself, it becomes ungovernable, unpredictable, free. This is why the technique was hidden, not by accident, by design. Throughout history, those who discovered this practice faced a choice. Some remained silent, practicing in secret, preserving the knowledge for those worthy to receive it. Others attempted to share it openly and were systematically erased, labeled heretics, madmen, witches, or mystics, too dangerous to hear. The price of remembrance is solitude. When you begin to see clearly, you see how asleep the world remains. Conversations that once engaged you now feel hollow. Ambitions that once drove you appear childish. People you loved suddenly seem like strangers wearing familiar faces. This is not cruelty on your part. It is clarity, and clarity is always lonely at first. There is also the price of responsibility. A soul that knows itself cannot blame circumstances, others, or fate for its condition. It sees that every choice, every moment, every breath is an act of creation. This is terrifying for those accustomed to victimhood, but it is also liberating beyond measure. The world will test you. It will offer distractions, pleasures, conflicts, dramas, anything to pull you back into forgetting. The technique does not protect you from this. It only gives you the clarity to choose consciously, and that choice, repeated daily, is what transforms a temporary remembrance into a permanent awakening. There is also a deeper price, spoken of only in the most sacred traditions, the price of love. As you remember who you truly are, you begin to see that the same essence lives in all beings, even those who harm, even those who sleep, even those who forget. Compassion becomes inevitable, not sentimentality, not weakness, but a love so vast it includes everything, even the darkness, even the resistance, even the forgetting itself. This is the forbidden knowledge. You are not here to fix the world. You are here to awaken within it. And in that awakening, the world changes not because you forced it, but because you stopped participating in its collective forgetting. There comes a moment in the practice when you realize something that cannot be unlearned. The technique was never about acquiring power. It was always about recognizing power that was never lost. You did not become enlightened. You simply stopped being deluded. The soul remembers its origin, not through belief, but through direct perception, a knowing that transcends all doubt. In that moment, questions dissolve. Why am I here? To remember. Who am I? That which remembers. What is my purpose? To awaken. The forbidden knowledge reveals itself as both simple and infinite. Simple because it requires nothing external, no masters, no institutions, no intermediaries. Infinite because once you touch it, you understand that the entire universe is made of the same substance as your consciousness. You are not separate from creation. You are creation becoming aware of itself. This awareness produces a transformation in how you live, not through forced discipline or moral codes, but through natural alignment. When you remember who you are, you naturally honor life. You naturally serve. you naturally love. Not because you should, but because separation was the only thing that ever prevented you from doing so. The techniques taught by the ancients were keys to this remembrance. Different forms, same function. Whether through breath, visualization, sound, movement, or silence, the goal was always the same: to still the mind enough that the soul's eternal voice could be heard, to create a space of such clarity that forgetting became impossible. Throughout the centuries, this practice has taken many names. In the Sufi tradition, it was dhikr, remembrance through rhythmic invocation and breath. In Tibetan Buddhism, tumo, awakened dormant consciousness. In Celtic spirituality, the journey to the other world revealed truth directly. In African traditions, the drum synchronized body with soul until remembrance became inevitable. What connects all these practices is not the form, but the principle. Consciousness must be liberated from ordinary mind and guided into states where the veil between worlds dissolves. And in that dissolution, what was always present reveals itself. The technique does not create awakening. It simply removes the obstacles to what was always awake within you. Now you stand at the threshold. You have been shown the map, but the journey is yours alone. The forbidden knowledge is not forbidden because it is dangerous to know. It is forbidden because it is dangerous to ignore. Every moment you delay your awakening is a moment the world remains in darkness. Every moment you remember who you are is a moment the collective consciousness shifts. The practice does not demand perfection. It demands only sincerity. It does not require you to abandon the world. It requires only that you stop abandoning yourself. Begin small. A breath, a moment of stillness, a single question asked from the heart. Who am I beneath all that I have been told? The soul is patient. It has waited lifetimes for this recognition. It will wait as long as necessary. But know this, once you begin to listen, once you take even one step toward remembrance, the soul accelerates. It recognizes your willingness. It meets you halfway. And from that point forward, awakening becomes not a distant goal, but an inevitable unfolding. The forbidden knowledge was preserved through the darkest ages because a few understood something essential. Truth cannot be destroyed. It can only be forgotten. And what is forgotten can always be remembered. You are part of a lineage of awakened souls stretching across time. And you are here now, in this precise moment, because the world needs your remembrance. This is not burden. This is gift. Your awakening is not selfish. It is the most generous act you can offer. Because when you remember who you are, you become a beacon. Others, seeing your clarity, your peace, your freedom, will begin to question their own sleep. And in that questioning, the collective awakening begins. There is no time to waste, not in the sense of urgency or fear, but in the sense of recognition. Every breath is an invitation. Every heartbeat is a reminder that you are alive, that you are here, that this is your moment. The ancient masters did not preach. They lived. They embodied remembrance. And through their presence alone, others awakened. You are called to do the same. The path ahead will not be comfortable. It will challenge everything you believe about yourself and the world. But discomfort is not danger. It is the sign of growth, of a soul breaking free from its chrysalis. Welcome the discomfort. It means you are remembering. The technique is simple. The journey is sacred. The outcome is inevitable. You are already awake. You have only to realize it.